When it comes to paying for college, you and I both know that a lot of families just assume student loans will be part of it. Well, that's why we exist. It's to avoid those student loans. But believe it or not, there are colleges that are called no loan colleges. So while many schools, most schools in fact, will offer a student a financial aid package and it will include loans, there are some that guarantee loans will not be part of their calculation. So this means that if your student gets into one of those schools or pursues one of those schools, then maybe they could go without you or them having to borrow anything. So in today's video, I want to share with you 10 no loan colleges and how it's calculated. So make sure you hit subscribe, because even if your student does not want to pursue any of these schools, there are still dozens and dozens of strategies that your family can use to work towards that debt-free degree. And so every week we release a new video with one of those strategies. Hey there, my name is Jocelyn Pearson, founder of the Scholarship System and Debt-Free Degree Lab, where we redefine paying for college to help families build strong financial futures rather than ones where your students are buried in debt. Now, we focus our main strategy, their scholarships. So we've helped families secure well over 12 million to date. However, we want to combine all these other strategies, which include trying to bring that bill down to as little as possible. So finding no loan colleges can do that for your family. Now, just a quick note, this is focused on US citizens and permanent residents, so I'm not familiar with how this works for international students. So, okay, let's talk about financial aid packages. So you would think that it means financial aid, which doesn't have to be paid back, but that's not the case. Typically, a financial aid package will include work study, which means your student has to work for the money. Now, typically, a financial aid package will include grants, scholarships, work study options, student loans, all of this depending on their results from FAFSA, and maybe some other factors like maybe competitiveness. However, at no loan colleges, student loans will not be part of that package. Instead, they will only offer the grants, the scholarships, and the work study opportunities to help cover what goes beyond your student's EFC, their expected family contribution, or now it will be called the SAI, Student Aid Index. So what is the EFC or the SAI now? This is a number that is a result of your family submitting FAFSA. So you have to submit FAFSA in order to be considered for this. That's why that form is so important. We have an entire playlist that we'll link to in the description all about FAFSA. So basically, schools are saying that a student will not have to cover their financial need with loans based on that calculation. So what is the gap? It is the cost of attendance, the COA. Each school has a calculated cost of attendance minus your family's EFC or SAI. Again, this is the same thing more or less. It's just the number that's determined by FAFSA. Whatever the difference is between the COA minus your SAI, that is your family's financial need for the year. This is something we do every single year. So colleges have no control over what a student's SAI, Student Aid Index, will be. This is where Debt-Free Degree Lab, our sister program, comes into hand, where we can show family strategies on how to bring that number down so that your need is greater. If you want to learn more about that program, we only open the doors a couple times a year, but you can go to thescholarshipsystem.com/waitlist so that you are the first to know when we do open up the doors. And some of these that say no loans, they limit it to certain income levels or maybe even certain programs that they're going into. So each school can use this in different ways. Now, the other thing I want to mention is work study is not just debt-free money given to your student, but it requires work. So that is a lot of times that is part of the package that they will offer students. I have an entire video on federal work study, how that works. So we'll link to that in the description as well as here on the screen. You can watch that video after this if you want to learn more about it. Now, for most of these, you might be thinking, where do they get this money? And that is endowments and gift aid. So these are a combination of donations and investment assets that they use in order to generate income to help fund these students. And what they offer, what they have available to offer, can vary year to year. Additionally, like I mentioned, it could be based on income requirements, and those can change every single year. But the idea behind a lot of these schools is that, and you'll see when I get to the list, is that they want to make it available, their school available to a student regardless of their income level. All right, let's get into the list. So I've got 10 schools for you all here, and we have an entire list, a complete list, on a blog post, which I'll share again in the description. We have Amherst College, Brown University, Columbia University, Harvard University, Johns Hopkins, Princeton, Stanford, University of Chicago, Vanderbilt, and Yale. Okay, you're probably hearing that list and thinking, those are some pretty competitive schools. And you're right. But again, we do have a list of all the other schools. Still, they will be more elite schools. That is a common theme that you can see here because, again, they're trying to make their programs accessible to students regardless of income. Now, again, the no loan options might be blanket across all the students. It might be based on income requirements. It may be based on their student being a first year or maybe a transfer student. And it could even be limited to specific majors or programs. So it really is something that your family needs to look into school by school. But if your family has a low SAI, a low number from FAFSA, then looking into schools that are 100% need meeting and or no loans, no loan colleges like the list that I just mentioned, that is extremely advantageous for families with lower EFCs or SAIs. Okay, and then regardless, no matter what your family situation, whether your student is considering these schools, whether you can get the no loan option, whatever, your family needs to be applying for scholarships. So make sure you check out our free training. It's an hour long to help you build a list of legitimate scholarships. It's in the description as well, or you can go to scholarshipsystem.com/free training. So that said, when it comes to choosing a school, making a choice here, finding a school that's more affordable or that is promising your student the money that they need without student loans can save your student decades of student loan debt, tens of thousands of dollars. This is why we really stress looking at financial options, ones that make financial sense, in addition to ones that your student just wants to go to because of personal reasons or academic reasons. So this can really open up the doors to schools that maybe your student never thought were financially possible. So it's all about just seeing your students' demographics, your family's demographics, what their competitiveness is, and what their options are out there in order to possibly knock off tens of thousands of dollars before you even implement any other strategies. If your student's already set on a school, it's okay. There's tons of other strategies. That's why you need to hit subscribe, because every week we have a new one for you all. And you want to make sure, if of all people, you want to attend that free training on getting outside scholarships. But that said, if you're open to schools, finding the financial fit, this may be a great option. All right, I will see you next week in the next video.